with yours truly, SYLBOURNE Sidiel. And of course, as you can see, I'm split into four quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not just one, I'm actually four tonight. And I've got a round of guests, which we're going to discuss a very important topic. And as you can see from the topic there, it is saying it is time to do us. What does that mean? Time to do us. Well, I say it's time to do us. Well, today has been a very great day as well. I hope everybody's fine. And for those who are joining us late on, please make sure what you can do is to like and share and to also comment and to be interactive as much as possible in the show. Now, first of all, I've got some very key guests tonight, and I'll go first with Mr. Stephen Akinsanya. Stephen Akinsanya. I keep mixing up Stephen. Stephen Akinsanya. I'm going to start again. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Stephen Akinsanya. Father, lawyer, passionate mentor and motivational speaker to the youth, destiny fulfillment focused, and a believer in young people and a right for all to have the same opportunities to strive. That is Stephen, who is a barrister. Stephen, hi, how are you doing, sir?
Fine, Silber. Good evening.
Good. And next, I have Miss Leslyn Barrow-Alatishe. Alatishe, is that correct, Barry? Leslyn?
Yeah, Alatishe.
Alatishe. Now, we had Nana first, who was supposed to join us today, but unfortunately, she couldn't of an emergency. And of course, Leslyn came in at last moment, which is really good, of which we are grateful for. She's a retired senior community nurse, ex-school governor at primary and secondary schools, passionate about autism and special needs children and young people, currently a member of the parent group at local special needs school. She gives talks to parents with newly diagnosed children, autism, churchmen groups. And we're not doing this. She's going to make you jewelry. Yes, she will make you jewelry. And a concerned mother. And she'll make you jewelry. You notice I keep saying that. She'll make you jewelry over and over again. All right. And without further ado, I have Mr. Nicholas Nunayon. Nick Nunayon, a pastor, educational consultant, public speaker based in Kent, founder and director of King's Gen Foundation, a registered charity organization with the aim of ensuring that children and young adults, especially from disadvantaged and Afro-Caribbean backgrounds, have every opportunity to fulfill their potential. So first of all, let me say hi. Leslyn, let's say hi to the people and say, how are you and how was your day?
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, I should say. I'm fine, thank you. You know, it's been a stressful day living with a young person with autism, but it's one of those things, you take the ups with the downs and just keep moving.
Yes.
So, I mean, I was very pleased to be asked to jump in last minute, and it was quite uplifting. So I hope I'm able to put my voice to the discussion that we're having and hopefully have some good outcomes.
Yes, good. And Sir Nick Nunayon. These are all new people I'm meeting. Even though Leslyn I knew before, and Stefan. But Nick, how was your day and how's everything, sir?
My day has been very great. As usual, continue mentoring the young people online.
Yes, sir.
Which we had our session almost every day of the week now due to COVID-19. So it's great. And to round it up, I believe tonight I'm still going to speak to the young people and their parents.
Yes.
So it's a great opportunity. Thank you for giving me the privilege and the opportunity.
Fantastic. And Sir Stephen Akinsanya.
Oh, hi, Silban, and good evening to the viewers and listeners. And yeah, it's been you know, I'm passionate about these topics, and I really want to see that if we can drill down on some of the issues so we can start being people of action and not just words.
Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, let me sort of give you a sort of background and a backdrop to this particular topic, which is it time for the Black community to now do us? A couple of weeks ago, I was actually having a discussion on Facebook. Of course, I always put these controversial topics. I tend to thread where devils, even angels, fear to thread sometimes with some topics, and I just let it run its course to the wrath of many people at the same time. And it was an article where Trevor Phillips from Watchdog says that Black men or Black boys' greatest danger to them is not the police, but actually gangs against gangs. Yeah, gangs against gangs, black boys against black boys is more potential danger to themselves. That is what going to kill them more than the police. Now, many people took that article in different ways. Some started to dissect it by saying, actually, he's pandering to a right-wing media. He's actually pandering to a particular group. And why is he not giving any solution? Some actually say, hang on a second. Is it true what he's saying? How can we deal with the issue? So I took the position of this. Let us deal with the issue. Let's separate the bit about the police. Let us look at to see how we can actually navigate and deal with the community. Cut away the different strands. And I listened to Stephen, and I also listened to Nicholas. And I said, I like that progressive thinking. So it's not saying one is actually trying to separate the fact that there are issues with discrimination, issues with racism, issues with white supremacy, issues with Willie Lynch and all those factors, Black Lives Matter. But we say, is it time for us to do now, to do us? Yeah. And that is what I want to talk about. And that's what I want people to talk about, because we keep talking about this issue so much. It's like a deja vu. You wake up and say, here we go again. And people are saying they want some solutions. So I'm going to turn this over straight to Stephen. If you can sort of set the stage with this and your thoughts on this particular topic, Stephen.
Well, I mean, obviously, when he made that statement, a lot of people were offended by it. People may have felt uncomfortable by it. But if you actually think about what he said, and I'm a firm believer of drilling down and actually calling stuff out. If I've done something wrong, or if there's something wrong about me, I want to call it out first and then allow others to comment about it. And
Yes,
he actually said, while we have to get the police to do the right thing, behave in the right way, let us not forget that young Black men are dying in hundreds every year, never mind the ones that are being injured and maimed. That is fact. And until we start to accept that the two are separate issues,
yes.
And for talking from the perspective of my work, my professional life, the young mothers who have lost sons to knife and gun crime were more worried about their sons passing between different postcodes than having a police officer brutalize them.
Yes.
And sadly, it's a fact in our community that too many young Black men are dying at the hands of other young Black men. And it's a real concern amongst people in our community. Mothers, parents, families worry about their young people losing their life because of some beef, or someone's in the wrong area, or someone's mistaken identity. And when one qualifies that in terms of the proportion of young Black men or Black men who die at the hands of the police, there's no argument. And we have to accept that. The McPherson report identified the weaknesses and the issues, and it's ongoing, and the police have to do better, and they must be brought to task. They must be called out when they're doing wrong. But let's start looking at the speck in our own eye.
Right. Okay. Leslyn, what's your take on that in the initial stage, setting the stage?
My take on this is that what he says is true. Living in the borough of Southwark, we have lost so many youth groups and places for our young people to meet. And so we have a lot of gang turf wars, which indeed the police are not doing right. But the gangs and the young people who are being groomed, etc., we need to do better. We really do need to do better. But I feel that at first, we as a Black community need to put our house in order. We need to stop separating ourselves out as I'm Black Caribbean and I'm Black African and I'm Black this. We're all Black living in a country whereby we are obviously meeting some disadvantages, but we need to look after our young people and bring them from the family first, bring them together, have somewhere for them to go and to be able to mix with each other, learn the right things, and gradually bring them up in the way that they should be, and teach them that, look, When you go outside, the police may see you as you look suspicious. Teach them how to behave in that manner, be cool, be calm, etc. Yes, because the thing is that I have a black son. I have a young son who's autistic.
Yes.
He can go outside and be stopped by the police. He doesn't speak. And because he doesn't speak, he could be picked up and taken away. So we need to be, religious about these things. We need to look after our young people. We need them to have somewhere to go. We need our community members, our churches who are not pulling their weight for some places to stop being about just the church. You are part of the community. And when I say community, it's not just about the Black people, it's about the Asians, it's about all people. But we need somewhere where we used to have like after school clubs and scouts and guides and brownies. We don't have those things anymore. So our young people just walk the streets.
So what you're saying about is the community need to take that responsibility and be a bit more proactive, yes?
Yes, I feel that the Black community should stop looking to the government to do things for us.
Yeah.
We need, as families first, to come together and to talk to each other and to see, right, what can we do for our young people?
Okay, good. And Nick, you're in a position as a vicar, pastor, and working with youths, and you sort of strike a sort of balanced position where you can see the two sides. What's your take on this whole topic, and especially what Trevor is saying, but looking at the community perspective, taking responsibility?
Well, I think the two speakers have really spoken part of my mind.
Yes.
Which is what I commented on your own Facebook timeline.
Yes.
When you brought this topic up. Like I said, some of these things has been there in the time past, and they are still there, and they will still be there. But the question is, let me take it this way. Every time that there is police brutality, which is a universal problem. When I say universal, it's not limited to UK and US. It happened in Asian countries. It happened in African countries. Now, we added the issue of racism, that police brutality is quite different from racism.
Yes.
Are two different things. Now, racism came in as a result, protest about racism came in as a result of the killings that happened in America.
Yes.
So a lot of people are protesting here. And what I'm saying is that every time when we have these issues, there is always protest. And when there is protest, there is always open door. What I mean is open door is that there is always opportunity.
Yeah.
They will make a policy, they will make a law or whatever that we say, okay, these people have been cheating or they have been cheated for a while. So let's give them opportunity. Now, futurists can see such thing. But we as a community, do we really see the opportunities that normally come after this protest?
Yes.
Do we really prepare for that opportunities? Which is my own main concern. When we look at what happened after the report, I think which Stephen mentioned, I think that has to do with Stephen Lawrence.
Yeah.
Okay. You will discover that they started appointing different people into positions.
Yes.
When you look at the George Floyd one in America, you will discover, when you go on LinkedIn, you will discover that a lot of Black people, especially women, have been appointed into corporate positions, including top universities in America now at the moment. In UK, in the corporate world as well is happening. Now, are we prepared for our young people that, okay, you get yourself ready to occupy this position? Let's not just dwell on racism. What are we doing to help ourselves as a community? How are we preparing ourselves? How are we preparing ourselves? Are we really ready to occupy? We are not looking much into all those things, but we continue protesting, which I'm not saying that it is bad. But when we protest, let's prepare ourselves to occupy the positions or the doors that are going to be opened after the protest.
I hear what you're saying, and I want to pay homage to the various persons who are joining us: Diane Murray, Dee Bailey, Flo, Keisha Allen, Hope, Love, and Grace. And I want to thank you guys so much for coming on, and we look forward to your questions as well, because what I keep getting, and even the person called Hope Love here, she sent me a message and saying she's frustrated. She's frustrated as to what is happening. We keep going around in circles. And therefore, it's come to the point where I am personally frustrated sometimes of bringing up these issues. I'm sometimes getting fed up. Another friend of mine named Stephen, Stefan said, talk, and talk. And they're having conversation upon conversation. And then it seems like we're going around a circle. And you got to compare. There has to be a level of comparison. And I come back to Stephen on this, a level of comparison whereby why are other communities going through and yet we're somewhat circling and not going through? Stephen, I'm going to land that one with you and take the other persons after. Why are other persons, communities going through? And yet at the same time, we're seeing some of us who are going through with some good practices. Why are we going around in circles at this time? 2020, here we are.
Well, I think there are many issues, but some of them which automatically come to mind. I think we've lost our way in terms of the family structure, things that we used to be very strong on. I think we have not really understood more recently the power of education. Because education opens doors, it empowers you. So you know, we've not taken the step to embrace education as much as we should do across the board. I mean, I'm only speaking, I'm not generalizing, but I'm speaking about perhaps a section of our community, not realizing that education is what empowers them. I think we haven't understood economics properly, and the fact that fiscal responsibility and fiscal knowledge empowers you again. We don't support each other in terms of our businesses. We don't come together as much as we should, because all of the things I'm mentioning are what other communities have done to put them at the top table. And until we get those things right, we're always going to struggle, and we're always going to be looking for someone else to solve our issues. We have power in economy, in terms of our economics, in terms of spending. When we understand that and we galvanize that, and you combine that with strong education and strong family values, then we start to make, I think, in my humble opinion, some inroads to dealing with some of the issues.
But Stephen, I've got to say this, and I've got to say, you guys, we're all professionals in our own rights, right? Yourself in your area, Keisha, I mentioned Keisha. Well, Keisha is also as well a professional, which is one of the persons there. Nick, Leslyn, all professionals. Why are some going through? Don't get me wrong. I understand there are inequalities, injustice, racism, and all those things. Why are some going through and some not? Nick.
Why some are going through and some not? And
they have the same environment, grow up in the same environment, same standard.
In the same environment is because of priority. What is your own priority? What is your family values? Right? I could remember some few years ago, we are having an educational conference in Medway, in Chatham. And a guy came to speak. He's from the West Indies. I invited him to come and talk to parents and young people. When he came in, he was very shocked of the number of people that he saw at that conference. He picked his phone, he called one of his friends, and he told him, he said, this is where you're supposed to be. I sent this invite to you, but you didn't respond. You need to see what is going on here. He said, but at the moment, you are going to Westminster to go and protest.
Yes.
You are not looking for places where you can help your children.
To occupy.
To occupy.
Yeah.
So, the values of individual family is very, very important. The community spirit is very, very important. For instance, from where I came from Nigeria, and I always tell people that my father is an illiterate, but I have opportunity to go to school because of the people that are around me. They appreciate education. They love education. Like I normally tell people, if you are a man in Nigeria, in the Nigeria of yesterday, I don't know of today, you can't talk about marriage until you have something in your hand that you can fall on. You have a qualification, you have a job, or you have business. Then you can talk of marriage, especially from the western part of Nigeria. That is our value. Not as individual or as a family, but as a community. So, and that is why in Nigeria today, when you look at the people that are intelligent and well educated, when we talk of education, it's part of the western part of the country. So we are moving when it comes to that area, why some other groups are not. It's just the same thing here as well. Some families are moving forward, like Stephen said about education, businesses, and all those sort of things. Some people are appreciating it, grabbing the opportunity, doing it, and going forward. But that is just it. I think the most important thing that we really need to look into, because we mentioned of gang, right? And that is one area that I love Stephen for. He speaks a lot when it comes to crime with the youth. And I could remember an email I sent to him some time ago to come and speak in our conference. And he replied me. He said, I'm just coming to warn them and tell them, I can't remember the exact word he used, but it's like telling them the price of gang or price of committing crime. We need to look at what is causing this gang problem. Where are we missing it? Not every child is in gang.
Yes.
Not every family, but there are some out there. It is true we might have problem that there is no after school club places to play, but there are some children that they can still gather in some other places. They can do things in common without going into.
Yes.
Very, very important for every one of us to face the same direction.
Okay, I hear that, and I hear it very clearly. And what we're talking about again is some of the reasons why things are not happening because of the values. And one of the things is that we're still going around in that same sort of circle, whereby we're looking at lots of the reasons why we can't overcome. But yet at the same time, many are overcoming. And therefore, it's like a time for the community to really galvanize. Leslyn, from your perspective as a former nurse and a governor of school, where do you see the problem lying with young people at this present moment as well? The blockages.
Right. Well, from my own experience as a community nurse and as a mother of, I have a daughter of 30 who is well educated and things like that. I feel that a lot of our parents, because of economics, we're not able always to be there with our children, to hear them and to listen to them. Sometimes they come home and they want to tell you something really important, but most parents are either so tired or so busy or so something else They don't listen. And after a while, they stop telling you anything. My philosophy as a mother, when my children were young, they would bring all their friends to my home. And I would say, bring them all. And it would be like 10 girls. I said, right, you guys, you can stay here. But while you're here, we're going to do some teaching.
Yes.
And I would have a blackboard up or a whiteboard or a piece of paper. I would teach them about contraception. I would teach them about being conscious women, young women, knowing who they want to be, where they want to go. And I would encourage them that, look, education is the key. You must study so that you can hold down good jobs.
Yeah.
You will not be able to move forward if you don't have that to start with. You know, and I can tell you now, about 9 of those 10 girls have done very well. Not because their mom and dad wasn't there. And this is what I'm talking about, the village. Other parents who have got the ability should support those children and young people whose parents are not so able to. You understand?
Yeah.
So I can see, and Stephen and I have had these discussions over and over. One, we need our economics. We need to have economic power amongst our community, because then we can ask for things. We have clout.
Yes.
Without any money, we are beggars. So we need to galvanize that. But while we're doing that, we need to stop looking to the government to support our young people. We need them to have youth clubs where they don't have to cross postcodes, because it's the postcodes that they have to cross that causes the gang culture. You understand?
So if we stop there with the postcode, are we saying that we are going to be subject to the postcode and living in that postcode, or we try to break down that postcode?
We have to try and break it down. But the reason why the gang is such a problem now is because a lot of young people may not have the same opportunities in their borough, and they're having to travel out of borough to go to other boroughs to access those activities. And hence traveling in the trains and going to places they don't know. Our young people are more at risk.
Yeah. Okay, Stephen, just pick up on that point there about the. Sorry, who went? Somebody went. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, Stephen, you're still there. Okay, we'll wait for Nicholas to come back. The bit about the postcode as a factor, and as a criminal barrister, you've seen this around. That is something which is there that needs to be dismantled, but it's been there for years, and the whole snitching factor is there for years. And I think what I'm picking up from Leslyn is that while that is there and that got to be dealt with, we've got to see how we can pursue and succeed amidst that. Is that what we're picking up as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in favor of dismantling this thing with postcodes, because I just find the whole thing so frustrating, that a young person's going to lose their life because they're in the wrong area. And often the things that the young people are having beef about are so inconsequential to where they could be for the rest of their life. I mean, if we want to break it down, if we want to talk about drugs, the young guys who are peddling Class A and Class B drugs on our streets, who are getting into beef over territory, what are they fighting for? The real players in the drugs market, they don't live where these guys live. You won't even know who they are. Those guys send their kids to private schools if they can afford it. They have homes overseas, and they're the real scourge, because they're the ones who are bringing the shipment of drugs in. But they are very, very infrequently arrested and end up with a jail sentence. But our young people are dying because of it. And, you know, because of the work I do, I just find it infuriating that a young man, as in often many of the murder cases I do, would have been stabbed to death because they're of beef over a drugs deal gone wrong or rivalry. And we need to break this down. We need to offer these youngsters a different opportunity, one of longevity, that allows them to have their 70 years and 10, and not 18 years being put in the ground by their parents. It's crazy.
Yes.
And what I think Leslyn and Nick are saying is, look, we can't go with a begging bowl asking the government to do X, Y, and Z. We need to start taking this by the scruff of the neck and fixing some of the problems so that we can offer proper solutions and alternatives to people who want to make money fast because they need to survive. I get that some people do this because they need to survive, but there are consequences, and that's what I talk about, either ending up in jail or in the graveyard.
Yeah. Okay, let me pick up on what Hope Love says, is that on the back of what Stephen stated very rightly, so one of the underlying issues is that we have a very different history as Blacks versus other races or nation as to their origin, who must have a head start and different of the fact how they came here, having unique dysfunctions as their origin story is different from the other. How do you respond to that? What you're saying, that is like some of a head start. We must have a head start. That is why sometimes maybe the youths of the Black community is not progressing. Nicholas, you're shaking your head. Sorry.
It happens to everybody. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Either black or white. That is why there is a saying that there are some people that are born with silver spoon.
Yes.
But in this case, now let me give you some of my thinking with working with young people and what some of them are saying. There have to be a time that we need to break that circle of poverty. And to break the circle of poverty, it has to start with one person, somebody.
Yes.
Now, I will tell you what happened about 2-3 years ago. I took some students to University of Cambridge to spend a whole day with them. And in our conversation, a lady said something. She was fortunate, opportune to go to private school. The only in the whole of their family, not just the nuclear family, extended family, to have opportunity to go to private school. She ended up in Cambridge. So when she was talking to me and another lady from Dagenham and Mbaki Council, who happened to be one of the educational officers there, she says something. She said, I'm going to try my best to help my children to go to a private school because I knew the blessing or the benefits of going to a private school. That is a head start.
Yes.
Because she was able to get that opportunity as young as she is. I think she should be about 21 now. Then she was about, I think, 18. And she has started thinking of the future. How she's going to give that head start. As we've been saying, not every one of us have that opportunity, including myself. But my own children have a better head start than I, right? And their own children will have a better head start. And that is how we are going to break this circle. When we start position our children strategically, when we start empowering them, when we start equipping them, right? Even some of these our children, because of discrimination, which we need to work on and help them, they are not even maximizing the opportunity that is available to them. And I will give an example again.
Yes, sir.
There's a guy that is working in the city at the moment. When he was in year 10, his own school, a grammar school, did not take him to Cambridge or Oxford for a visit. But when he heard about our own, he joined us. He went to Cambridge with us, to Oxford with us. He came back, he changed his mind, changed everything. He started working hard. In that year in his grammar school, he had the highest result. IB 6th form, he had 45. He got into Cambridge, reading economics. He finished last year with what? First class.
Yeah.
There's another girl on Facebook who had just finished his first class from Cambridge. Out of his family, is the first person to go to a university, not just university, Cambridge, just finished with first class. So not every some people have a startup, some people have opportunity,
Yes.
but the opportunity normally starts from somewhere. So all we need to do as Black community, either Jamaican community or African community or Nigeria or Ghana, let's come together to give a good start to these children, even if the government is not giving it to them, even if their teachers are not giving it to them.
That's a good point. Stephen, I'm going to come a point to you, which you mentioned to me the other day, but I just want to acknowledge G.R. Woolridge, who is actually saying we must teach the children their history and not his story that they are taught, the educational system that is a product of the colonialism. We must impress that failure is not an option. I think that is where I wanted to get down to, where she said failure is not an option. Stephen, the other day we were talking and you mentioned about the Windrush generation. They came and they did it. Those before them, while they went through some serious trauma, subjection, racism, but they did it in a sense that they made sure that their children are in a better position. How can we bring that in now to show the distinction right there, Stephen? That's what we're talking about.
Well, essentially, I mean, Ricky, who I know, I think he's messaging you from Bermuda.
Yeah.
But the point is, my philosophy, people have done this before. We stand, and I say this regularly, we stand on the shoulders of giants, people who've trod this path before us. And I think about my parents. Nick talks about coming from Nigeria. My father came here from a Jegunle in Nigeria as a 17-year-old with nothing. And by the time he died, having shunted trains at British Rail, King's Cross, he was a university reader and professor. And the reality for me is that failure is not an option.
Yeah.
Because if we go back, and this is why history is important, those who have overcome racism more than we can ever imagine in today's 21st century, and they made it through. When I think about the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when even back in 1928, they had black banks, hotels, cafes, clothiers. There were 6 families who had their own private airplanes in 1928. So for me, history is important in educating our youth that, look, whatever we're facing today, even in my generation, what I think I went through as a child of the 70s, I overcame that racism to enter the legal profession and to make my mark and to hold my head up high. And those who've gone before me went through even more than I went through. So this generation must be empowered. They must know their history, not just the Marcus Garveys and the Malcolm X's, but people who are doing the jobs that they aspire to do. The Black doctors, accountants, lawyers, physicians, scientists, they're there, but we don't know who they are. So a young kid growing up in London might not be exposed to those kind of people and think that task is insurmountable, that dream is unrealizable. We need to expose people.
Yeah. You know what someone said to me the other day when they had the statue of the lady in Bristol, which they put up there? They said, if we were really smart, we should have put up that guy who was defending the bus drivers many years ago in Bristol.
Yeah.
That black man that was down there.
That's a statue. Yeah, I think I said that to you.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to pull down statues, well, we can have a debate about criminal damage and the rights and wrongs of it.
Yes.
But rather than put up an activist who was there on the Black Lives Matter march, let's put up a historical figure. And so the children in Bristol, which is my hometown where I was born, they can find out about that man and what he stood for and what he did to allow equality in the workplace for bus drivers.
Yeah.
You know, let's educate our youth. If people don't want to tell us in the school curriculum, let's find out for ourselves. That's why the internet is such a powerful tool.
Yes.
We can educate our children.
Well, Nia Imara brings up that point as well, where he says, stop the begging bowl mentality. You know, the other day I was thinking, I'm a neighborhood watch chair for area. And of course, we all know each other on the street as a chair. And sometimes I think about communities now, we've got blocks of flats, yeah? And I think about how a block of flats can actually take control of their community. For argument's sake, I understand some of these communities will have this community center which has been closed down because of lack of funding. And I think a simple principle could be this. If there's a block of flats, block A, block B, block C, maybe all 300 persons, if they all put up £2 per week or £2 per month to have the 300, I mean, it's there. It's there. Nick, you're jumping in.
Yes, I want to jump in.
Yeah.
Just exactly what you're saying now.
Yeah.
This, I think, is a lady that says, stop begging bold mentality.
Yeah, Nia is the gentleman. Yeah, it's Nia.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think so, yeah. And I'm not sure. Yeah.
The other problem with us as Black community is we find it difficult to do things that will help our young people because we complain of money too much. We don't understand that if I put my own £5 down and you put your own £5 down, we can put it together to do something better for our young people. And I will give you an example of the organization that I run. We started that organization in 2009.
Yes, sir.
Right? And we started by providing conferences, seminars for parents and young people to make them to understand the UK educational system. Because we discovered that many parents, we don't understand UK educational system. We don't know how it works. We bring people in without collecting a penny, and we give them food to eat. Then it was easier for me to do then because I was working as an IT consultant. At the same time, my church is supporting it. I was the senior pastor of the church, so we can support it. Then IT consultant. And my wife, we cook jollof rice, fried rice, so that they can get food to eat. So people do come, people do learn. Now, this is the story. After it becoming bigger and people got to know about it, I could not afford to sponsor it again. So, and then we normally use the church hall. And we want to take it outside the church so that some people will say, because we're not member of their church, we're not going there. So we put it as a different organization on its own. And some ladies that are always enjoying that service when they come for the conference. One of them said, we need to start using hotel. I said, I cannot afford hotel. And one of them said, this has been blessing us. Something has to happen. So I spoke with one of them that normally come to that conference regularly. I said, what are we going to do? He said, you don't worry. Something will be done. Yeah. What did I do? She only paid for the cost of that hotel, the food we ate on that day. That's just one person. After that, there is another pastor that have died now.
Yeah.
She came to my program. She used to be a consultant to the Metropolitan Police and some other organizations. So she came and she heard what we were saying at that conference. And she said, my children are doing very, very well. I wish I have heard some of these tips in the time past. They would have done better than what they did. And he said, I was told that you sponsor these programs by yourself and maybe by the family or friend. I said, yes. She said, I'm going to teach you what to do. So she taught me what I knew already, but we only practice it in the church, where we normally tell people, we want to do this project, we need financial support, we need. So she said, people are benefiting, they are saying a lot about this. Ask them to start contributing. As I'm talking to you today, we have only able to get money from the government just twice for our debating club. Every other project we have engaged, we've not got a penny from the government. It is the people that are funding these projects. Right. When we go to Cambridge, it cost us a lot, and university. There was a time in 2016 I stopped our Osbridge trip because the cost rose up. But parents said, no, we will take care of it. And that is how we have been doing this project till today that I'm sitting at your front. So I will encourage our community. I will encourage our parents. We should stop relying on the government.
Yes.
We should stop waiting that until government do it before we do it.
Yeah. So therefore, therefore, what we're saying, and I'm going to go on to Leslie now, is that why we don't wait for the government? When the government comes in, let's treat it as a bonus. If anything,
Yes.
let's give it as a bonus, you know. And as Oplov said, much agree. My point exactly. Many as people, what do we need to pull up all our people? It is sad a chain. Leslyn, what do you see as, and I'm going to go around over some key solutions as ways to sort of now get going. You know, we got the Black Lives Matter, we got all the different movements going on, but how can we from today start to get things going?
Well, I mean, I like the idea that you put forward for like the flats, for them to create their own like cooperative even, and say, right, there's 3 flats in this area. If we all give £1, and it's prioritizing what is a priority to you, your family, and the surrounding area. If all of them were to give that money, they could then have the community halls, because a lot of community halls are shut.
Yes.
They're just sitting there. Then they can say, right, okay, this is our community hall. We would like to initially hire it from you at a cost price until we build up our own funding and gradually develop it from there. You understand? If it means that some of us who have got skills, give our skills freely, because we as Black people, we don't like to give our skills freely. Some of us do and some of us don't. But if we want our young people to be doing what we're doing now and seeing the future, we need to offer them those skills and eventually give our time. We don't have to give all of our time. We can say, right, I'm going to give X amount of time to this, which you guys are already doing. We just need to spread that out. And it needs to come from the grassroots, because there's a lot of parents who are complaining that, like from my end of the scale, that have got disabled children who don't have any support. They don't have anyone to talk to, that I end up getting phone calls from people I don't even know. Oh, can you help me with this this appeal? Can you help me with this? Can you? Well, if we've got a community, we can have people in the community from different aspects that we can help each other. So while we're doing that and we're looking after our young people and we're being there for them and we're listening to them, our education system in Britain leaves much to be desired where our children are concerned. And it's not for the want of trying. I know I have friends and colleagues who have tried to set up Black schools, but they won't let them. So again, we need the financial clout to be able to do these things separately. But like you said, while we're looking at doing all these bigger things, the smallest thing we can do is to start where we are.
Start with what we have in our hands.
What we have, because I came to this country at the age of 17. All I had was a bag full of books and a bag of clothes. And that was it.
And what Nia actually said there, picking up from the community bit, is that the churches, many are empty during the week. So really and truly, young people should not be crying out for a community center.
Exactly.
The community centers are actually there.
Sorry.
Exactly. We should be offering that, because right now I have to send my son into North London for proper schooling, into North London for extracurricular activities. He has to be supported by someone to go these distances. Now, if we have these things nearby, then we don't have to worry so much that they're going out of borough. If they do go out of borough, then it would be because they may be having a sports event where they're having inter-county sports or something like that.
You know what? I'm wanting to really dig down into the solution era. I'm looking at some of the comments here, which are coming through from here, using the churches, use the Black churches without forcing children to become Christians. I've been trying to full-time African heritage. People are saying Paul Stevenson, Roy Hackett were the instigators of the Bristol bus boycott 21. Those are the statues that we say we want to see as well. But someone said to me today, And he said, Silbert, I've got the answers. I've seen your program. I can't make it tonight, but this is what I think we should do. Let's just do us.
Yes.
He said, only the Black community shout out, say, we want a Black James Bond, or we want a Black Prime Minister. You don't hear other communities saying that. But what we are seeing before our very eyes unfolding, the possibility of Asian Prime Minister. But are they saying that? Or are they doing it? Are we the type of person that just talk, demonstrate, chant down Babylon one more time? Or should we now be pulled back and start to advance strategically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
it. That's it, Silbon.
That's it?
Yes.
Yeah, we have to. I think we need to retreat.
Can shut down now. Shut the show now.
No, but I mean, I think we need to stop the talk. We need to retreat. We need to start getting on with the basics of, you know, as I say, education is key for the youngsters, making learning cool, because amongst some of our community, learning isn't cool.
Yeah.
Materialism is sought in advance of maybe getting something quickly without the thought of the longevity process and sustaining it. We need to build on strengthening our fiscal power.
Yes.
We need to get involved at grassroots level in terms of more involved in politics, and instead of saying that's not for me, at national and local level, because you've got to be at the top table where the decisions are being made. And if you look in other communities, they figured it out. And, you know, I refer to the Asian community, they figured it out. They've gone about their business quietly. They've managed to get to the high office in terms of the mayor. They have a chancellor. They have a home secretary. They've just gone about their business quietly without asking for government handouts. And I always think about the temple in Neasden. That's an example of fiscal power. When they wanted to build that temple, they got their own funds and did it.
Yeah.
Because it was a priority to them. It was important to them, and they did it. So we need to recognize that we have a lot of potential, a lot of power in our community, but we have to galvanize it and work together to make our own futures brighter.
Yes.
And not be worrying about racism. Racism's always been here. For as long as a Black man has been here, racism has been here, and it will continue to be here. But it didn't stop earlier generations making it.
Yes.
And we need to start waking up to that fact.
Even Silbone, you know, the bank that you've sent forward, the bank, the first Black bank, we need to have our own bank, because if we have our own bank, we have our own banking power. We don't have to go and borrow from these people who can make decisions about whether we should have a community center or whether we should have these things. We have our funding in ourselves, and with that money, give our politicians power to be able to sit up and talk, right? Yeah. And the bank that you sent forward, I've registered interest in it, and they're going to have a meeting this next weekend. Question and answer. We need more people to be doing that. We've set up a Black business economy. We need more of our Black people to support our Black businesses so that our children can see that, yes, going to school is important, having an education is important, but also being able to know how to make money and make your own financial well-being in the right way.
Yes, yes.
And not illegally.
Yes? Yeah. I want to go on to Nick, but I just want to pick up what James Singleton said. Black men and women are definitely vocal and are people of action. Black people doing you is definitely the way to go, because you don't mess around. Side note, London mayor is stealing a living. We need to state our priorities in the Black community. And Nia said Indian people were severely exploited for the temple. They smuggled in a very talented carpenter from India and paid them only £5 per day. And they had to sleep on the floor. There we go. Nick, in wrapping up, what about the mindset now? And I tell you why I said the mindset. My mindset today did two things. One, I had a problem with one of my bad thing, and the hot water kept running, and I couldn't turn it off practically. And I thought to myself, oh, I need to get to now. I know there's two different race of persons on my street, you know. And I thought to myself, right, let me think. Let me go for the young guy, the young black guy. You know what I mean? And that's what I said. It's a mindset. Now he came and he fixed it. It wasn't a big deal. And I said, how much? He said, no problem. But I saw a bigger problem later down the road. So I realized I will have to change that head. And he told me the price. I said, right, don't worry. I'm going to get it and you come and do it. Is it a mindset thing, Nick, whereby we, want to empower ourselves economically, whereby we move towards our people?
You're right. The case of the mindset is very, very important. And everything that Stephen and Leslie said, they are the instruments that we need to transform the mind of our young people. We have something we normally say in Kingston. We say, catch them young. Catch them young. And what it means is intervention.
Yes.
Get them, put the right information to their mind before they start growing up. We don't have the time tonight, but you have spoken about the Asians, maybe the future prime minister or whatever, and all those sort of things.
Yes.
When we are offline, I will give you some research to do, and you will discover that they don't shout. They are not loud when it comes to these things, but they do things strategically, which I have discovered. One of the things that they do, those of them that are at the front line in politics, I mean the ministers, you check the kind of education that they receive. You check what their parents told them when they were young, even when they were brought from Uganda. Some of them were brought from Uganda and Africa down to this country. But you research on the information they were fed with. Yes. And it's that information that made them to be where they are today. So we need to work on the mind, so for our children to have the right mindset right from the young age, so that they can start pursuing these things as their goals, setting them as targets. Economic power, educational power, political power. Let's start now. Enough of talking. We need role models in our community, professional role models. We need to teach our young people how to maximize manhood, how to be a good man, a good husband, a good father. We need to start teaching leadership skills, entrepreneurial skills, wealth creation, and all those stuffs. Those are the things that we prepare their mind, that we give them the right mindset, character value, character building. That's where I'm going to stop.
Leslie?
Yes, one last thing I would like to say. Before we even deal with the children, we need the parents on board. We need all the parents, all our parents. We need to stop thinking of ourselves as I'm African and I'm West Indian and you're this or you're that. We are one black set of people in this country, and we need to come together like this in order for us to move forward. So if we can mobilize our parents, we can mobilize our children. And that is where we need to be looking to get started.
The problem I'm having now, Stephen, Nick, and Leslie, is I think somehow we have been in a similar situation like this before, where you can see the responses from person resonating with it and says, good, fantastic. Yes. How do we translate this into a reality? How do we get this message out? How do we empower people, the mindset? How do we do that? It's a nice program. It's great. How do we do these things?
Well, I think we do it on a micro level before going macro. And we can all do something in our communities, our small bubbles, to galvanize people where there is a consensus of people all going in the same direction.
Yes.
Or if you don't want to recreate the wheel, look at how other communities have done it, because they've done it.
Yes.
You know, it really starts with an individual's mindset that, look, you know what, I'm going to do what I'm going to try and do within my sphere of influence.
Yes.
And the people that you're influencing then become influencers themselves, and thus it grows. And so, you know, even in the area of work that I do and what I try to do, mine's about prevention, about stopping the youths doing what they do, those who choose that lifestyle, and telling them what awaits them if they choose to go down that road. And at the same time, trying to mentor them away from that lifestyle to say, look, there's more out there for you, and I can connect you with the people who can help you and those who you aspire to be like. But this is not the way for you.
I need for us to come up with something, or we'll have to come back again next week or 2 weeks time to deliver something, because as what Anthony had to said, this is precisely my point. I'm looking for the 5-step process to climbing this ladder. I love for one of you guys to give us this, right? It says one of you guys, so I guess it's got to be Stephen or Nick. One of you guys.
Well, I will leave that to Stephen, or maybe I can contribute later.
Okay, Stephen, you're going to say something, Stephen.
Well, I mean, look, it's part of the debate that we're having about doing us. And the first thing is to recognize that we are deficient in certain areas within our community. Then the next question is, well, what do we do about it? Well, having recognized where we're deficient, then those who recognize that we are then start to think, well, what can I do? And I've said this evening that, first of all, for me, the key is education. You have to have a basic education living here, especially when you're of the skin color that we are. You need that education just to get on the ladder, and you're going to have to work twice as hard in any event to achieve what you need to achieve. That's fact. It's always been the mantra. Once we accept that we need that education, even now in the 21st century, we have Black people in all spheres of business, the health sector, in finance. There should be a directory so that young people can know who these people are, because a lot of the things that happen in other communities is through connection. Once you have that education, a lot of the young people don't know where to go, who to connect with, who can they tap into about their experiences, how can they enter the specific field, not just the law or medicine, but across the board. Then we have to recognize about the power of our money, because money talks, something else walks, as you know. And the reality is that if we recognize the power of our economy, then we start doing more to support Black businesses. We have a standard of excellence in our Black businesses so that people are prepared to support those businesses. And then what we do is that, people are talking about Black banks. Well, that's not to say that we want to set up our own little Black commune within the UK. We just want to do what other communities do to empower themselves where we're not being listened to, where we're not being taken seriously. And I guarantee you that if we get those things right, where the murder rate goes down amongst our community, and we start respecting each other, our young people, and we give them viable alternatives in terms of training, education, finance. When we start putting those things in order and we galvanize the support of different communities up and down this country, but particularly in London, then you'll find that people will start to listen. And then you'll be able, through the world of politics, local and national, to get a place at the top table where your voice will be heard and you can have some form of influence. Those are just my thoughts for now.
Right. Okay. Well, unless anyone else have anything else to say, let's do a wrapping up. Yep.
Okay. What I want to say is is that this action has to start from where we have the gathering of where the Black people. For instance, most of us, if not most, many of us go to churches. The message has to start being preached from the church, from the pulpit. The man on the pulpit also needs to go out into the community and see what is going on in the community and how he can support the community as well. Not only that, we are talking about business, but the question we also need to ask ourselves is that what sort of business are we doing? Are we creating? Are we doing buying and selling? Yes. What kind of services are we trying to explore our community, or we are trying to help our community? There are many questions that needs to be answered before we can move forward. I love something that Stephen said about excellence. When we are doing things with excellence, people will like to support it. Yes. Somebody also put something there about many organizations doing the same thing. And I do agree with her or with him that many organizations are trying to do the same thing. But the most important thing is that what are we trying to achieve? What is our goal? What is our objective? Are we trying to maintain the status quo, or we are trying to put people into the places of influence?
Yes.
It is not enough for us to be gathering young people. What do we really, how do we want to position them? Where do we want to position them to? Not that just, I have an organization, oh, young people come on Saturday, we can mentor and we just talk. We have something to present to the government because we got lottery money. And we want to say, oh, we've gathered them this Saturday, we have spoken to them. These things have not been achieving anything. We need a goal. We need a purpose. We are on a mission. And that mission is positioning them strategically, economic-wise, educational-wise, political-wise. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining today. And for those on Instagram just joining, there's going to be the after session on Instagram for those who want to join us, where we just sort of recap of tonight. I want to thank my guests as much, and of course for the co-host, which are the visitors and the commentators on the side, which have been very proactive tonight, because this is a topic which is dear to my heart and is dear to many heart of persons who are not just Black. We got white people also who is on the live as well. But from tonight and what I've seen, and the reason why I want to bring this program is to try to bring it to another dimension whereby we can see some proactive action and something that can transform the thinking. And someone said about 5 things to pick up from tonight. And the 5 things that I pick up and I want to highlight is one about the mindset. The mindset is so crucial at this time. The mindset that says, I can do it. The mindset that says, failure is not an option. The mindset that says, if I have to work twice, I have to work twice. Because when you check it out, even when Stephen will say in the legal profession, within his white counterpart, they're all fighting against each other in the sense of being more excellent when they're studying. Everybody's wanting to be the best. So what they do, they work harder. So at the same time, people are working harder, twice as hard within the same sphere of influence, because they want to be better and they want to be excellent. And therefore, the mindset of Black people as a result, we've got to take that into focus. It has been discussed through the program today that while we got the issues of Black Lives Matters, racism, Willie Lynch, systematic racism, we've got to recognize that persons like from the Windrush period, they went through so much. People that went before us, them went through so much. Those who came through the transatlantic slavery period, my God, you know, they went through so much, but they actually wanted us now to do better. And I believe that some of them might be turning in their grave to say, come on, guys, get real. Come on, we went through something. You do better for the next generation. So my children and your children, so that therefore they're not fighting the battles that we should be fighting now. So that is one. And the next thing about business, it's important, as I discuss and as we talk about, we need to actually empower each other. I do sometimes say, if we are going to do business only, or we should do business to the point whereby, hey, everybody come to our business. So it's not just what we're selling only to Black people, but actually set up a business whereby everybody can come to it. Because guess what? When you go to the Asian shop, you get lots of Black people going there. But in the Asian community, the Asians go to their own shops. So what the Asians are doing, they're controlling all aspects of the whole market. So therefore, we've got to be strategically whereby we get everybody to come to our stuff. Education, which is mentioned there as a tool, a fundamental tool, a key tool, as Stephen says, as Nicholas says, as Leslyn says, as I say, it actually opens the door for us to take it to the next level. And that is also crucial. The coming together of the community. Coming together of communities whereby, listen, I'm a neighborhood watch chair, and I say this all the while. It's a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool that on my street, I can get a WhatsApp message saying somebody's car window is turned down, or there's a dodgy guy walking on the road, and people start to look outside to see if they can protect their community. Can you imagine if communities whereby there are issues of gangs or whatever start to say, let us look out after our community. If there's a community center which is there with an open building which is closed because government lack of funding, and you got about 600 flats there, think about £2 a week. Think about £1 a week. Think about that for a second, how beautiful it can be. Working together is crucial. And most importantly, the activism, action. And that is it, action. Let's all create actions for ourselves and action for others. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep going on this one. And we roll out the plan even from this one, right, Stephen?
Yeah.
Nicholas, roll out the plan.
Yes.
Leslie, roll out the plan.
Definitely.
As I said, all the while, Stephen and I talk with frustration and said, boy, I don't want to keep talking about this over and over again. Stefan was here earlier. Don't want to talk. We've got to make sure that we get the message out. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Any last word?
Thank you. We do
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you very much.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upwards. And for
Yes.
those who want to come onto Instagram, I don't know which of you guys are young enough to come onto Instagram. You see, I'm growing into a millennial.
We are all young because we are working with young people.
Yeah, I'm a millennial, and I'm trying to say, so I'm growing into a millennial. I know some people laugh for a while, and I've got the persons on Instagram as well, which I'll be joining just to give an overview and an update as to this. So, Stephen, thank you so much. Leslyn, thank you so much. Nick, thank you so much. And for Nana, who wasn't able to make it today, she's going to come on another time. And for the guests, James Singleton, Ruth, Dawn, Grace, Hope, Love, thank you so much for your comment. Dawn Richards, Flo, Nia, thank you so much. Nia says he's a male. You guys don't get it twisted, okay? He said he's a male. All right? And everybody else. So, and please also watch the replay as well, because we got some very good interaction tonight. Okay.
Thank you
very much, guys. And have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And just to let you know that tomorrow night we'll be having the review of the top news in review, whereby myself and some guests, we will come on with Keisha Kama and Dr. Burton. There are lots of issues which are happening, of course, regarding hacking. Lots of issues happening regarding mask, and with COVID. Dr. Burton, ophthalmologist, will be coming and giving us an update on that as well. And there are a lot of discussion and news. Friday, we're going to have the youth session, Connections, whereby I put myself available as what we discussed to be a person of interactive with young people, give them a voice so they can actually talk and share the platform to them. And on Saturday, my key one, which is Cross the Atlantic, whereby I tap into some Americans, USA, Canada, Jamaica, whatever like that. I'm hoping to have a candidate in America, Marlon Hill, hopefully all being well. And I'm working with Ian Cross and some different business persons to actually do some cross the Atlantic discussions, as well as how, because I actually understand that lots of Black Americans actually over there, successful business, don't know that Black people are in the UK. And so I'm going to do some interaction, and all of that is really linking into the whole concept of Black excellence. I don't know if you have seen that simple program which I created, 1 minute. It's 1 minute of excellence, 1 minute, whereby I decided that instead of just having all of the images that we're seeing, images of devastation, images which are not really positive, I said to myself, instead of waiting for Forbes to give us 10 or 20 persons to look at, I say to myself, well, let us showcase 10,000 thousands of Black people who are doing excellent. And I did this segment here, and I'm going to actually close with this if you give me permission. I'm going to see if I can close with this bit here, and it's called Black Excellence, and this was the latest one, which is Mr. Chris Brown, coach. So let me just hear what in the last comments here before I go. Antoinette, thanks to the speakers. Awesome, awesome. Great note show still, awesome. I'm going to end off with Mr. Chris Brown with Black Excellence, a new program I'm doing, and it's just 1 minute. And if you know of someone who can want to showcase themselves as an excellent person, please, I'd invite you to send them to me as well. I'm going to showcase thousands of Black excellent people, okay? Thank you very much. Have a good night and peace out.